Hello everyone, welcome back. In the last section, we have learned about some basics about global value chain. And then in this section, let's talk about its strategic management. In the last section, we talked about the Porter's value chain concept. It puts specific emphasis on the configuration of activities within the firm. And now in this section, the global value chain, not just the value chain, focuses on the generation and transfer of value within the whole business ecosystem and production network. So we can here refers to global value chain as a GVC. So there are a couple of questions that managers need to answer for their GVCs. Who are the GVC actors? What kind of rules exist? Is it a competitive or is it a cooperative GVC? What generates successful GVCs? So we describe the configuration of the GVCs using several dimensions: the GVC length, the geographical distribution, or the governance. So the length refers to the degree of the fragmentation of the value chain. There are several things that determine how long a value chain is. This includes, for example, how easy it is to break production into smaller steps, and then what are the benefits of having experts to do specific tasks, and then whether certain tasks work well together. And then just think of value chain like making a sandwich. The length of the value chain, or how many steps it has, depends on a few factors. First, it depends on how you can break down the sandwich making process into separate, distinct steps. If you bake the bread, prepare the toppings and the fillings, and then assemble everything yourself in your kitchen, you have a very short value chain. In this case, all tasks are done in one place with full control, making the process simpler and also potentially faster. However, if you source your bread from a bakery, get your salad and toppings from a salad shop, and then buy other ingredients from special stores who they themselves also source from various suppliers. And then you send everything to a factory to assemble and then pack, and then finally hire a marketing company to promote and sell, then you're extending your supply chain considerably. So this longer supply chain, value chain, involves many different specialists and companies, each adding value at their stages. There are benefits of having a short GVC, like doing everything yourself. For example, having full control over each step can improve the efficiency and reduce the costs, because there are just fewer hands-off and then potentially lower transportation costs. Additionally, a short chain allows for faster decision-making and quality control, since all tasks are closely integrated. But there are also advantages of having a longer GVC. With a longer chain, you can benefit from specialization. Each task is handled by an expert, such as a bakery that focus just on making high-quality bread, or a marketing agency that really skilled in reaching your target audience. This specialization can improve the quality and the appeal of the final products, making production more scalable or allow you to source the best ingredients or services from around the world. So these are the different things you can consider in deciding how long the value chain should be. And then the geographical distribution. So it basically means how widely your supply chain your activity is separated or dispersed within the value chain. For instance, instead of handling everything locally in Denmark, a company might source bread from France, process ingredients in the Netherlands, assemble the final products in Germany, and managing the packaging and distribution from Denmark. This broader geographical distribution leverages the specific advantages of each region, such as specialized expertise, lower production costs, or access to unique resources. While this approach adds complexity, it can increase efficiency and the quality of the final products by involving specialists at each stage. And then finally, the governance. Governance refers to the degree of control over a company, over its value chain, ranging from minimal control over your external suppliers to complete control through internalization. Then how do we decide? So there are different factors that we need to consider, and these are the factors that can decide how long, how dispersed, how much control we need to have for a company, for the activities within the value chain. The first one, the capturing slight difference in price. Differences in labor costs are the origin of efficiency-seeking investment and in international production networks. So you would probably want to make your the length longer, or you probably want to distribute it in different regions, different locations, in order to capture the benefit, the opportunity existed in different places. And then you have transportation costs. Of course, you want it to be as short as possible because it can reduce the costs. And then you don't want it to be dispersed in all the regions because it will increase your transportation costs. And then the transaction costs. The transaction costs are the hidden expenses of coordination, managing and enforcing agreements between different companies or actors in the supply chain. For example, you would have the negotiation costs, the time and resources spending on agreeing different prices, contracts, and delivered terms. And you also have the monitoring costs, where the expenses are generated ensuring that the suppliers or partners meet quality and delivery standards. So considering this, you might want it to have a shorter the value chain, because then you don't have to have these negotiation or monitoring costs generated. You want to have more control, more governance. And then for the modularity of the production, the degree to which production can be broken up in different tasks is the driver for the degree of fragmentation. Then you decide a different length, a different way to distribute. And then for the economies of scales, this refers to the cost advantages that business obtain due to their scale of operation, with cost per unit of output decreasing with increasing scales. So simply put, the more you produce, the cheaper it becomes to produce each individual unit. So you want it to be centralized because you can really produce benefit from the economy of scales. But then it's debatable here because there's more flexibility. Companies may choose to either consolidate operations to shorten the chain, or they can extend it by creating a network of specialized, efficient production stages across various locations. And then you have the product differentiation and customization. So basically, the need for customization tends to lead to more decentralized value addition, because then you want to cater for more local needs. So with so many factors to be taken into consideration, when it comes to the strategic design of the GVC, we need to answer two fundamental questions regarding the control and the location of the value chain activities. First, which activities should a firm own, and which activities should be left to external partners? That is, should I insource or should I outsource? And the second question, where should the firm locate the value chain activities? Should I onshore or should I offshore? So the insourcing refers to reincorporating an activity to the firm that was formerly outsourced to an external partner. The outsourcing refers to obtaining intermediate goods, components, final products, or services from an external partner that were traditionally produced internally. Onshoring means the relocation of a value chain activities or business function or task to a more productive or lower cost location in a firm's home country environment. And offshoring means relocating an activity to a different country that either remains within or moves outside the firms. For example, you would have US-based companies that outsources IT services to other countries. And then depending on decisions of the insourcing, outsourcing, or offshoring, onshoring activities, we have different types of global value chain. For the market type, it refers to a simple transaction. So the buyers and suppliers, they don't need to coordinate much. The price is the main factor, and the suppliers, they work independently. A store like Walmart, they would buy generic products from various suppliers based mostly on price. And then you have module type, where suppliers, they would produce items based on the buyers, usually the lead international companies' specifications. They would follow clear, standardized instructions, and the buyers rely on the supplier's expertise to deliver a complete products. Examples are, for example, Apple. They would give Foxconn detailed instructions to manufacture their iPhones. And then for the relational type, this refers to, so the complex transactions, the buyers and the suppliers, they need to work closely together, and then they need to trust each other. The information is often shared back and forth, so because both sides rely on close collaboration. Examples are, for example, BMW working closely with Bosch to create custom car parts. And you have captive type, which is characterized by few large buyers control many smaller dependent suppliers. So the suppliers follow specific instructions and rely heavily on these big buyers for business. Examples are small electronic companies producing parts solely for large companies like Tesla and under strict requirements. And then in the end, you have a hierarchical type, and the company does everything in-house with full control over every step of the production process using its own factories and subsidiaries. So here, the complexity of the transactions, it refers to how complex the transaction is. For example, does it involve a lot of details? Does it involve a lot of customization? Is the products very unique? So, for example, market type, the products are not unique at all. And then, for example, then we have the ability to codify transactions. This means how easily information about the transaction can be put into clear instructions or standards that everyone can understand. In the relation type, it's not possible to put things into like a guidebook that any company can just get it and read it and then produce the products, because there's so many communication, coordination, and changings, adaptations involved. And then we have the capabilities of the supply base. It means how skilled and experienced the supply is, whether they can handle complex tasks or just basic ones. Like, for example, the relational type, the suppliers have very high capabilities to handle complex tasks. But then for the captive ones, the suppliers do everything for the lead companies. So with the different types in mind, companies would have different options in terms of the GVC strategies. A firm would follow, if a firm follow an onshore outsourcing strategy, it leaves the less value-creating activity to other firms in the home country. And they would concentrate on those functions and tasks where it has competitive advantages. So through outsourcing, the flexibility in terms of switching partner is increased, and then investment in infrastructures and equipment can be reduced. And this would result in lower fixed costs. Examples are, for example, US-based brand might outsource productions to local suppliers while focusing on design and marketing in-house. And then a firm following an onshore in-house strategy keeps all activities in-house within its home country, maintaining full control, but at the cost of flexibility. And then a captive offshore strategy sets up its own facilities abroad to lower costs while retaining control over production and quality. It is also driven by other factors such as access to talents and qualified labor, learning opportunities, and new markets. And then finally, we have offshore outsource strategy that is highly flexible and complex. It is designed to continuously identify potential new foreign value chain partners who can mostly cheaply and efficiently take over the least value creating part of the value chain, while at the same time monitoring subcontractors' technological competencies, quality, and performance. So most of the international top 10 sport shoes brand, such as Nike and Adidas, they follow this type of strategy. By 2020, Nike used more than 500 independent contract manufacturers and material suppliers located in 41 countries to manufacture its products. And this strategy provides cost savings, but it offers less control over the value chain, potentially leads to issues with quality and labor practices. For example, we can still take Nike as an example. In the 1990s, Nike faced criticisms over low wage and poor working conditions in its Indonesia factories due to challenges in overseeing its suppliers. So although recent years Nike has improved its reputation and has become a top seller brand, but further enhancements in corporate social responsibility should be strengthened to ensure ethical standards across its global value chain. Because nowadays, the corporate social responsibility are becoming more and more important for the value creation of a company. When companies outsource or extend their value chain globally, they often face challenges in maintaining the standards, especially regarding the workers' rights, environmental practices, and product safeties. So this is where Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, come into play. The SDG were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to actions to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people can enjoy peace and prosperity. It is a global framework for companies to align their operations with broader goals. So meeting these goals requires commitment and actions across the entire value chain, especially for companies with international partners and suppliers. So we can see, here's an example on the usage of CSR, corporate social responsibility, best practice among the Swedish retailers. While they are doing great in some parts, like conducting the site visits, ensuring the code of conduct, and ensuring the first-tier suppliers' compliance of the code of conduct, there are still places where they need improvements. For example, consulting the external experts, using the external audits. These findings remind us that corporate social responsibility is an ongoing journey, and it requires continuous efforts, transparency, and a willingness to adapt. Now, as the global value chain grow increasingly complex, complicated, and spread across multiple countries, maintaining a high corporate social responsibility standards has become more challenging. But this is becoming more essential, ensuring that each step of the value chain aligns with the ethical and sustainable practices is not just about reducing the costs or protecting the company's reputation. It's also about contributing positively to the communities or environment or the economics in general. So thank you for joining this section as well. I hope you have a better picture of GVC by now. I will see you in the next section.